Well, hello, scrapbookers. How are you doing with the virtual crop? Welcome, welcome. My name is Noreen Smith. I am the Product Development Creative Manager for Creative Memories, and we decided it was a good thing for me to hop on again today just for a few minutes to address some of your questions that we've seen in the comments and in posts in the virtual crop group. So let me just make sure we're all connected here. Think it looks like we are. So not sure if anybody's going to join me. We did put a post in the discussion feed to hop on if you want some additional tips and tricks. Of course, you can watch this on the replay as well. So first off, just wanted to say this is Saturday, November 11th. So of course, Veterans Day in the US, Remembrance Day in Canada. So of course, we want to mention that we are, sending out all of our respect to currently serving servicemen and women who are protecting and serving their respective countries. And of course, the utmost respect and appreciation, gratitude for those who paid the ultimate sacrifice in defending their respective countries. So definitely a somber day, but many of you are spending your day doing some scrapbooking. And so that's what we're here to kind of talk about. Hello, everybody. We've got some folks joining us now, which is great. Again, we're just going to do some kind of tips and tricks and answering some of the questions that we saw occurring again and again in comments and in posts in the virtual crop group. So I'm going to flip you over to my table and we're going to run through a few things really, really quickly. All right, so let's go here. All right. So the first main question we were getting is, where do I find the tutorial or the project booklets to show how to create Noreen's album? So how do I, know how to cut the paper and all that kind of stuff? So this is what you need to look for in your secret box. And I should never assume that people understand what it means to scan the QR code. So I've borrowed my son's phone and I just have it on the camera function. And what you're going to do is you're going to hold the camera over the QR code. And you see how there's a little yellow link that pops up on your screen? Let me do that again. And then you're just going to click on the link and it will take you to the video. We'll just hang on a second there. It'll take you to the video and the link to download the project booklet. So if you are looking for how to get your project booklet, that's where you'll need to go. So thanks to my son for loaning me his phone there. If you cannot find this little card in your secret box, definitely go to your email inbox and look for an email that was sent about 5 p.m. Yesterday afternoon, so 5 p.m. Central Time, November 10th. And that will also have the links, and again, to the same place. So that's the first big question that we were seeing. Where do I find the project booklet to show me how to do, the album like Noreen did? So hopefully that helps. And I do want to express real thanks to everybody in the Virtual Crop Facebook group for being so willing and generous to hop on and answer questions. We don't always see them right away. If you are, scrolling through Facebook and you see those questions, we are so appreciative that you offer suggestions and help to your, fellow scrappers in the group. There's 35,000 of us in this group, but it really does feel like a community, and everybody is so supportive, willing to help, and so positive. It is just fantastic. Okay, so the next biggest question I got was about the pen. And again, this is a new product for Creative Memories. Many of you have used a similar pen called Wink of Stella. Other manufacturers have created. But yesterday I shared that yes, it is photo safe. So that was a big question. Okay, so yes, it is photo safe. You can use it on your scrapbook pages, on your paper album pages, on embellishments, etc. I also shared that you need to activate it by taking off a small black ring that it's shipped with. So if you did not see that and you're having problems getting your your pen to work, make sure you go back to yesterday's video, or again, the video in the QR code, because again, I'll demonstrate that and show you. Now, I wanted to also clarify that you don't always need to squeeze more ink out every time you use it. So I have not used this since yesterday when we kind of opened it up and primed it. So I'll just show you that without squeezing any more ink, there is some ink, hopefully you can see that, still in the nib. It's still in this little chamber here and it's flowing into the nib. What I was trying to make sure that you understood is that if this seems to dry up a little bit, you have to bring more ink down into the chamber. And of course you need to squeeze. I think I also neglected to mention that you'll see that there's a couple of little ridge. I don't know if the camera will be able to pick this up, but right along the side here, it will say push. So if you just push on the side there, that will bring more ink down into the chamber, but most likely it will come out like a little blob. So that's what I was saying. Make sure if you do need to squeeze the barrel of ink to bring more ink down into the chamber here, make sure you have a little paper, because otherwise it will come out blobby. And then you don't want to waste this ink that has come out onto the little scrap paper. So that's when I was saying you can go back, pick it up with the nib, and then go ahead and brush it on. Okay, so there will be some in the nib, but if you find you need more, give it a little squeeze onto scrap paper and you'll be able to access it that way. Now, again, some people were saying, how do I use it? So when you have the ink in there, all you need to do is to brush it on. Now, this is something that I've already brushed the ink onto, but you can even use it with other products. So here's some of the Nordic winter embellishments. So maybe on the little stockings here, maybe I want to emphasize those little stars in the center. So I'm just going to brush it on just like a little paintbrush, and then you can see that that's going to have a nice shimmer once it dries. So you can use this on papers. You could take, again, I got some paper here. Okay, if you had some of this beautiful Nordic winter paper, maybe you wanted to emphasize some of the little flowers. So you could take it and brush the ink onto some of those designs. So again, perfectly photo safe, and you can use it on your papers, your embellishments, anything like that. Wouldn't it be stunning on some of these beautiful Christmas cheer embellishments? So just taking it and brushing it on there. You can see a little bit of a kind of a gold or metallic color initially, but when it dries, you'll just see that shimmer. So you're going to have a lot of fun with these, using the ink in lots of different ways. Okay, so that was the first question about the pen. And again, just make sure the cap is on. You hear the little ball inside the ink chamber moving around. So again, every now and then give it a little shake. I wouldn't store it upside down, but you can store it horizontally or vertically. More likely, when you store it vertically, the nib will probably dry out a little bit faster. Okay, so that's question number one, the pen. Question number two was more to do with one of the virtual crop sketches. And again, if you haven't already got your sketches downloaded, you can look in the post that was pinned in the featured section of the Facebook group or in the Creative Memories blog. And then there will be a link there. You can download this. So there's 2 single-page sketches, 2 double-page sketches. And there was quite a few questions about how do I cut a 12-inch paper on the diagonal. So again, thank you to so many of you who hopped on, who gave suggestions, and who even shared some of the pictures of how to do that. So I thought I would just, again, show you really quickly. Of course, you could, put your paper down here. You could, if you have an 18-inch ruler, you can draw a line. You can cut it with your scissors or with an X-Acto knife, okay? You can do it that way. But if you want to use the trimmer, All you need to do is fold your paper diagonally, corner to corner, and you don't even need to crease the whole thing. All you need to do is kind of make it flat enough right in about there. So that's the only place that I've kind of creased it. Then you can go ahead, kind of feed it underneath, whichever direction you want, gently underneath the cutting arm. Okay, make sure that your 2 points are together. That little creased area you can place right up at the top. Move your points, it's getting in the way. Move your points to the cutting line and then go ahead and cut. And then when you open it, you really only have that little bit of a crease on the insides. And most likely those are going to be covered over with any photos or embellishments. So again, you don't need to crease the entire thing. Fold it corner to corner, give it just a little pinch there in the center so that you can line it up on your 12-inch trimmer. So hopefully that helps with that question. This is such a fun sketch, and so many great interpretations of it are being shared. And in fact, we've seen so many awesome versions of all 4 of the sketches. So again, you'll want to make sure that you share whatever you are creating using those hashtags. Okay, the next question that we saw a lot was, what do you mean about putting the paper album inside one of the 8x8 albums? And what do you mean by the paper album not being archival? So I wanted to clarify that. First of all, the paper album is photo safe. So archival, yes, in that it's buffered, it's acid-free, lignin-free, all of that kind of stuff. So when you put your photos on it, you don't have to worry about the paper album actually, affecting your photos. It's perfectly photo safe. What I meant by archival is some people feel that the paper albums are not legacy albums because the paper might get torn or ripped. People might be have fingerprint smudges on the photos because they're handling it, there's no page protectors over it, etc. So because we know that, that's why we are bringing out 2 coordinating 8x8 albums on Monday. So again, another big question was, where are the albums? These will be released as well as additional paper albums. These will be available Monday, November 13th, so this coming Monday, noon Central Time, just like a regular launch. Okay, so I thought I would also, though, show how we could deconstruct one of these albums and actually put it inside an album. Because again, some people were saying, what do you mean deconstruct? So I've got a package of the 8x8 side loading pocket sleeves. And I have gone ahead and taken out the inserts. So when you purchase a package of 12 8x8 side loading pocket sleeves, they will come with the insert inside. So just like this, okay? And one package will have 12. And as you might know, or if you've gone through your paper album, if you cut apart your paper album, you're going to be left with 6 individual pages. So I would suggest, if you want to do a full album, you're going to want to have 2 albums. So the one that came in your secret box plus another one. And then when you order your 8x8 album, order 1 package of the 8x8 pages. So let's go through, and I thought it would be a good chance to even just show how to load your albums, okay? So I'm going to use this Shining Moments one, and I'm just taking off the spine, and I'm opening it up flat. We always work from the back. If you notice, there's more strap hinge on the back than there is on the front. So we load from the back. So the first thing we do is just unstrap. I don't know if that's a word. We undo the strap and we take off the back. Now, as we take that off, I want you to notice how this is constructed. So the album back cover comes off, and I'm just going to set it aside. But this little plastic hinge, it actually goes onto the straps just as if it was a page or a page protector. So that's, I know, where a lot of people get hung up. Now you might have noticed that I just flipped over the first page, and that's because we just recommend that on the first and last pages, the opening to the pocket page is not right next to the front of the album, just to avoid any wear and tear. So that's why I flipped that over. And my last page, same kind of thing. It's actually on the inside, not against the back cover. So that's all you'll want to make sure you do. And then you're just going to feed all of those little, here's where being nearsighted is a bit of a drawback when I'm doing this on camera, because I usually get up really close in order to do this. Take my glasses off and do it really close. But you're just going to feed the strap through all of the little staples that are in the jeeped edge of your pocket pages. Make sure that's nice and tight. And then you're going to put the plastic backing on again, just like it was a page. So imagine this is the page. I'm going to place that on, and then we place the back cover on open, as if it's open. All right. Straps through, and now we can fasten it up, buckle it up. Just buckling in all our little baby scrapbook pages there. Okay. So I'm just doing it kind of loosely at first to get it through. You can see that's pretty loose. And then I just pull, just like you would pull a belt loop or a belt, tight. Then when we close over the back page and reopen it, it's laying perfectly flat. Okay, so hopefully that helps some of you who might have had some problems with albums, even though that wasn't necessarily one of the tips that I wanted to share. Hopefully that has helped you. Okay, so now we've got 12 pages in our album. So let's go ahead and deconstruct 2 of these. Again, I had mentioned during the live opening yesterday that you probably want to think about, that's why I was going over so many times. Think about what you want to do. Because if I go to deconstruct this album now, I'm going to have to take off those pocket pages. So again, if you're thinking you want to put it into the album, into an 8x8 album cover, that is, definitely deconstruct your album beforehand. So I'm just using, you can use whatever you like, I'm just using my multi-purpose tool to take out the staples. Both sets of staples here. And then I'm just going to literally cut this in half with my 12-inch trimmer. And I mean, you can open the arm up and measure to 8 inches if you like. Let's just do that. Or you can just line up the creased page. Okay. So that's right on there. And then just do that. And I'm going to do that to all of my pages. I'm just going to do the rest stacked here. Okay, and these were in the center, just like that. So now I have 6 pages. So now I can open up my album, take each individual page, and just start sliding the pages into the page protectors. And this way, your paper album will be completely safe. It's sort of like creating individual fast to fab pages from your paper album. So again, you can do this in a number of different, you can approach it, I guess, in a number of different ways. You can approach it from the perspective that I really like the patterns on these paper albums. They're inexpensive enough for me to grab 2 of them, pop them into an album like this, and have my pages ready to go. Or you can make them as a gift album or make them up as a fun little interactive album and then deconstruct them and save them, more archivally and long term in an 8x8 cover set and pages. Okay, so now here we've got our second batch. We'll get these in. So again, the front cover of the next one, we'll make a new spread there. And just a note about the little logo. Of course, you could take, any kind of little sticker, or you could punch some of your shapes. You could put a photo over top of that, whatever you like. And of course, you can also turn these. So maybe, for example, you like that idea with the circles on the outside. You can still use this for a little title or journal box, just gives it a different look. It may change, in this case it doesn't, but it may change what's on the back side. So if you start to do that, you might find that you have to adjust some of your other pages just to make them work. Okay, so we're almost done here. So again, this was 2 paper albums, 1 set. Where's my opening? There we go. 1 set of pages and 1 of the limited edition, limited album covers. So again, there's the back page. So now you have a complete album that you could go through. And again, that could be a gift album, or that could be something that you hang on to permanently. Again, with all of the benefits of the, the archival qualities, photo safe qualities of creative memories. So that's what we meant by deconstructing the paper albums, so that you can keep them long term without worry about the photos getting, smudged, or about the papers, getting bent, etc. So again, I'm seeing some comments. Love how versatile these paper albums are. I think so as well. Truly at first when we started bringing them out, I was not working for home office at the time. And I really kind of struggled myself with how can I use these. So I did make some and give some as gifts. But then as I started to think about, it's really just 8x8 pages. I've made several different ones. The Mother's Day, Father's Day ones that we had a couple of years ago, I made little small albums using those. But I love how this is all going to work so beautifully together. So again, you're going to have your choice of 2 different 8x8 albums. They're going to be available Monday, November 13th, 12 noon. Okay, this one has gold 2023. Perfect if you want to show best of, like the highlights of the year sort of thing. And then shining moments in silver repeats the circular motif that you'll see in the albums. And of course, is a little bit more versatile. It's not year specific. Okay, so definitely. And then of course the additional albums will be available as well. Okay, I'm seeing a question there. My scallop punch will only punch in positions 1 and 2. Okay, so that's a good question. So right now I have it on number 2. If it will not move to number 3 when it is open, then you definitely need to contact customer service, because it definitely should. One of the questions yesterday was, my punch will not lock, or it will not open. So what you need to do to get it to lock is squeeze it tightly together, move it to the lock position. And if it will not move out of the lock position, again, squeeze that blue top down a little bit and move it to each area, to each level. So if you are on level 3 and it's not punching, definitely contact customer service. But if you are, for example, in this locked position and you just can't get it to move, try squeezing the top down and then it should move freely. So if you can get it to number 3 and it will not punch, then contact customer service. Okay, I'm glad I saw your comment there. Okay, one other question about paper albums that I saw a lot of before we leave. What are the little things that fell out of my paper album bag? And you are referring to these, which are tape chips. So we provide these because, again, we use these albums, 8x8 paper albums, with beginners a lot. So they may not have adhesive, they may not yet know about adhesive, they might be true beginners. So we basically use these. You peel off the tab, place, where's my little black scrap? Place the tape chip on the back of the photo, for example, and then it will stay, and that's your little square of adhesive. So if you don't need to use these for your paper albums, you can just hang on to them, give them to the kids, use them as backup if you run out of adhesive, just hang on to them. And one other thing, again, just don't forget to look at the insert, because there are some great little suggestions if you don't want to go through all of the, adding peekaboo pockets and adding mats and things like that. If you're planning on using your 12 by 12 Shining Moments paper for, the virtual crop sketches or for other layouts, and you just want to make that paper album up very simply, just have a look at some of the suggested photo layouts here, okay? And you get a sense of the completed layouts on the back. So again, love that we have lots of options for you with those beautiful paper albums. Okay, so that's if you want to deconstruct your album. Now, last week, I had been thinking about sharing this, and I thought, no, I already have a bunch of things to show them, so I'm not going to share this. I was planning on sharing this later, maybe in regards to Christmas gifting. But I came up with a really easy 8x8 folio or envelope, whatever you want to, sort of call it. Because I know many of you say, well, am I just going to give this album to somebody? How am I going to package it up? So this idea for an 8x8 envelope is really a sort of a temporary or a DIY sort of idea of how you could present this type of album as a gift. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make this, and I will give you the caveat that this fits a regular paper album really, really well. I'll just show you how it slides in. Okay, so it's just going to slide in like that. Okay, and you can fold it over and give it just like a regular envelope. But because my album with 10 extra 4x8 peekaboo pockets is a little bit thick, you can see that it is going to be a bit of a tight squeeze. So, one of my little embellishments fell off. So you can see that it will go in, but it is a bit of a tight squeeze. Okay. Just kind of pops up the top just because, again, it's so thick. But this will work perfectly for a regular size paper album. Okay. I also, a couple of things here. I'm seeing a couple of questions. Well, first of all, will the 8x4 peekaboo pockets be available for separate purchase? Not at this time. They were made specially for the box. But again, we often will sort of test things with the secret box to see if you like them or not. So if you like the 8x4, 4x8 peekaboo pockets, definitely send us a note. CM product suggestions. Now I'm blanking, at creativememories.com. That's the email address. I'll try to put it in the comments, and let us know if you love them and you want us to carry them. Okay, so that's something that we can definitely think about. And same with the clear shimmer pen. I've had a lot of questions about that as well. Okay, but let's go ahead and make this. Now, again, I want to tell you this is super versatile. I pulled out the Nordic Winter that I was showing you earlier, because if you are going to purchase a Nordic Winter paper album, which is lovely, I love the really sort of neutral and kind of that faded look there. You can use a couple of pieces of paper from the Nordic Winter paper pack to make an envelope. Same with Christmas. If you are going to send a little Christmas album, maybe to some grandparents who, live across the country this year, absolutely fun little album. Why not use the Christmas cheer paper to make your little envelope? Okay, so when I made my little template here, I used some cardstock. You can definitely use cardstock. It's going to be a little sturdier, a little bit more long lasting, but I'm actually just going to use a couple of pieces of the Shining Moments paper. And I know that most of you will not use this for your envelope because you want to keep this gorgeous paper, but I do have some extras. Just as a reference, what I did for this one is I used one piece of the dark sea green and then one piece of the blue, and then I just decorated it with a little bit of the extra papers. But I'm going to use an entire pieces of Shining Moments. So here's what you need to do. Oh, I should also mention, I did see a comment. Could you use the envelope creator that we had for sale previously to make an 8x8 envelope? And you could probably use some of the, the little corner rounder and the little notch punch, but the measurements on the envelope maker only go up to make an envelope as big as 6 by 8.5. So we're sort of adapting the idea here, but you could definitely use the notch punch and the corner rounder to really make your little envelope work well. Okay, so I think I'm going to make the cover green, and I'm going to make the little extra piece that seals it over gold. So we're going to start with a full-size paper. Now, if you joined me a couple weeks ago, we were talking about the 45-degree angle on or printed on the base plate of the trimmer. And that's what we're going to rely on. And we're also going to need our scoring blade. So let's take out cutting blade, pop in the scoring blade. And we are going to score all 4 corners of our 12 by 12 paper where 4 1/4 meets 6 1/4. So you can see that this is where 4 and 6 meet, this sort of dark line here, and you can see how the 45-degree angle goes right through there. We're going to basically go down to the next intersecting line. So you can even take one of your CM pens and just draw yourself like a little arrow. It's going to wipe right off after you finish, but I'm just going to draw that little arrow there pointing at the intersection of 4 1/4 and 6 1/4. We're going to go ahead and score all 4 corners. So place the corner right at our little mark. Make sure that's along the side there and just score. If you're using cardstock, you might have to score a little bit firmer. If you're using designer paper, it's maybe just once or twice to score it. And I'm just working my way around. Okay, put it at that little mark. And one more. Okay, so now we can go ahead and just fold up along each of the score lines. And I like to have if you initially got the bone folder with the envelope maker, you can use that really easily. Otherwise, and I think I'm actually going to fold the other way because I want the green on the outside. And actually, you can use your multi-purpose tool really easily as well. Just use that flat side. So we're just going to sharply crease 3 of the sides. Excuse me, let me just grab some water here. So you can see how that looks like an envelope. So we're going to leave this last flap just as is. Now, it doesn't really overlap. It just gives us enough to fit the 8x8. So here's where you have a couple of options. First of all, if you have some washi tape. Now, this was the shiplap washi tape that we recently had, I think back in September. This is a super old navy with little dots. I think it was from CM's Sugar Plum line. And I happen to have a roll of green sparkly washi tape that I probably picked up at a craft store, or maybe it came in a kit, something like that. So if you have some washi tape, one option is to just simply go and tape over these seams, these 2 seams, with some decorative or coordinating washi tape, and then you can go ahead and pop that inside, and then you would fold this over and seal it. So yes, you can make an envelope from one piece of designer paper. If you don't have washi tape though, you will need something to kind of keep that all together. So that's where your second piece of paper, if you need it, comes in. Switch the back to our straight blade, and we're just going to cut an 8x8 piece. So you can just remember it as 8x8 album. We need an 8x8 inch piece. So that's still a nice big piece for cutting or decorating. Hang on to those. And instead of using tape runner for this, I recommend pulling out your photo tape, or if you are a crafter or card maker, you might have another brand of this kind of craft tape. And the reason that I like this is because I can make sure that I'm covering over an entire area. So I'm just going to kind of pop this down over top of the seam. I just rip it. You may have to get an extra little accessory piece there. Just overlap. It's like you need 3 hands when you do something like this, right? Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it an extra little cross piece to kind of cover it over. Just there and there. And then I want to go around the edges so that this piece, when I place it on top, will be nicely adhered. Sorry, I'm all thumbs it looks like today. Now you could use your tape runner for this. I'm always loath to use my tape runner for card making, that kind of thing, just because this may not be something that is kept forever, if you know what I mean. But that's what I need to do. And then you just go in and pull off the backing for all of your pieces. If it starts to pull up the tape, the answer is always to burnish it a little bit. And by burnishing, we just mean, rubbing it so that it has made good contact with the paper. And since I put those 2 pieces over here, I think I might have a problem. I should have done that after, actually. Let's just, because right now the tape is on top of the plastic. So again, this is a do as I suggest, not as I do kind of moment. All right, we'll get this last little bit up here, and then I'll just show you a couple of other quick things to take note of. And the reason I put the tape runner, and I think I need a little bit more here, the reason I put the tape on the envelope part is to make sure that it doesn't, I don't have any tape on the back side here where the album could stick. So now I'm just going to put my 8x8 piece. I'm just kind of lining it up at those top corners, and then I'll go ahead and fold over that top piece. So now I have that nice little envelope. So that's perfect if you are gifting to someone. If you want to send it, I don't know what the US postal regulations would be. If we wanted to send this in Canada, it would probably have to go inside another envelope. It's too big necessarily to go. So again, if you're giving it to somebody, this, you could just hand it to them this way. If you're mailing it, you may have to investigate what you need to do. Okay. Now, in the sample that I was showing you, if you're looking for a way to maybe store your album long term and you want something to just keep the little flap closed, all I did was, and I'll do this from cardstock maybe. Hang on. Let's see, maybe a green. I got some green in my scrap drawer. So I'm actually going to do a number 1. So I'm just going to move that over to number 1 so that I get one nice big solid scallop. And then I will use some of my scraps here to get a couple of decorative pieces. So I'm just going to move it. Actually, I'll move it to number 3. Okay. So I'm moving that to number 3, punching, and then I get a bunch of little extra bits. So I'm going to, where's my repositionable? I'm going to use the gold little ring and the blue scallop. So I have a kind of a little 3-color embellishment. Okay, so that's going to be my little adhesive sort of flap. And all I did to attach it, tape runner, it's buried now. There it is. All I did to attach it was I kind of made a little V on the back with some tape runner. And then I placed it so that I knew that the point of the envelope would not stick to it. It would just be kind of held in place, and then placed it down. So that way it will tuck in and under my little flap as a way to hold it closed. Okay. One other thing that I'll point out is if you're really just looking for a way to sort of safely store your album, you could slice off that top envelope portion. Just slice it right off, and then it becomes like a little folio. So I can slide in my album, and it will act kind of it went in better this way, didn't it? Now that I'm thinking of it, it'll just act as like a little protective case for it. Okay, so if you want to make one of these albums, but you just want something to store it in, I would make it like a little folio. And you could even, where did I put my circle punch? You could even take your circle punch and just cut out a little notch here so that you can easily reach in and pull that out. Okay, so I hope that that gives you a couple of other ideas for to use with your paper albums, whether you want to create a little envelope to send it, whether you want to create a little folio to keep it in, or whether you want to create an entire album with the side loading pocket slips. So lots of great ideas. And again, I'm not trying to convert anybody, but I really do hope that if you are somewhat skeptical of the 8x8 paper albums, that you give some of these ideas a try. Because again, you know, we don't fail. We just kind of fail to try sometimes. So learning, trying new things, changing it up, it's always worth a little bit of time and effort. All right. So that is what I have for you today in our little impromptu live. Again, just answering some of those questions and talking a little bit more about how you can use these products in your secret box. And again, I should have really been thinking ahead that there would be a lot more questions with this box because we do have so many new products. And, you know, we're introducing new ways for memory keeping, new products that you may or may not adopt into your scrapbook process. So again, the value of the paper album is $10 US, I believe. Again, I'm in Canada, so sometimes I get my prices wrong. But it's definitely worthwhile to try that $10 experiment, create a little paper album, gift it to someone who, you know, you think could use a little sunshine, as I was saying yesterday. Let your kids play with it and create their own paper album. Or, you know, experiment with cutting it apart, putting it into an 8x8 album. Beautiful pages, so don't let it go to waste. Okay? All right, I think I got most of the additional questions as they came up. I will go back and have a look and see if there are any more. But yeah, I hope you're having a great weekend. We love seeing all of your samples, all of your layouts that you are creating. And we can't wait until the end of the month. We hope that you will all share your completed best of or shining moments album, whether you create it like this or whether you put it into an album. We hope that we see lots of these in the completed album challenge at the end of the month. So again, sharing your inspiration to help others understand and get the idea of what they might want to do with these fun little 8x8 paper albums. Okay? All right, great. I'm glad you hopped on to join me again, kind of impromptu. I will keep scanning for the rest of the weekend to see if there's any additional comments or questions. If you think that you actually have a problem with one of your items, like if you really can't, move that lever to the third position even after squeezing it, that kind of thing, then definitely call customer service on Monday, because they shouldn't be like that. Okay, so if you have a problem with one of the products, definitely call customer service on Monday. Otherwise, again, thank you so much to everybody for hopping on, helping and sharing your knowledge and expertise with others who are having questions. So we really appreciate that. We love this community. I think it's wonderful, and I always enjoy spending time with you. So thanks for hopping on today. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing all of your projects in the virtual crop group over the days to come. All right, enjoy the rest of the weekend. Bye-bye for now.